Hello everyone, my name is Anju and I am Assistant Professor of Renewable Energy Department. So today we are going to discuss about the production of silicon wafers. So silicon is the most commonly used semiconductor material for the production of the solar cell, and it is the second most occurring element in the Earth's crust after oxygen. Okay. So, as of for today, more than 90% of the world's solar photovoltaic modules are produced in silicon wafers. So, this silicon mainly occurs in the form of oxide, silicon oxide, and it is found in the form of quartz, sand, or the silicates. Okay, so this naturally occurring quartz, or they will be having some impurities in them, like aluminium, magnesium, or iron, or copper, etc. Okay, so before we use them for various applications, we have to first purify them. Okay, so there are several steps involved for purification of this silicon or purification of this quartz. So as a first step, we have to produce the metallurgical grade silicon. Okay, this metallurgical grade silicon is actually 98% pure. So we have to convert this quartzite into metallurgical grade silicon. So what are we doing? We are taking this metal quartzite into a furnace, okay, in which where we can heat this. Okay, along with we add some carbon. So we heat this quartzite and carbon with a temperature more than 1600 degrees Celsius. So as a result, the following reaction takes place in them. So we get the liquid silicon as byproduct. So this liquid silicon is nothing but the metallurgical grade silicon. So these metallurgical grade silicon, even though they are 98% pure, they have to be purified further. So if we purify this metallurgical grade silicon, we will get the electronic grade silicon. Okay. So there are two steps involved in the production of this electronic grade silicon. So what are they? The first step is production of high purity gases. So what we do here is we take this metallurgical grade silicon and then we pulverize them. So what is pulverization? It is nothing but producing these metallurgical grade silicon into a powder form. So after we get this in powder form, we are going to react this with the anhydrous hydrogen chloride. Okay, so then we can convert them into gases. So this gas is nothing but trichlorosilane. So on other route, we are going to decompose this trichlorosilane and then we get a monosilane or just silane as the byproduct. So these two gases like trichlorosilane and silane are high purity gases. So now next step is to convert this high purity gases into solid form. So how can we do that? We can use the two kinds of reactor. One is Siemens type reactor and another one is the fluidized bed reactor. For converting the trichlorosilane in solid silicon form, we are using the Siemens type reactor. Whereas for converting the silane in solid silicon form, we are using the fluidized bed reactor. So after we get the electronic grade silicon, this silicon is not having that good electronic arrangement. Oh, and it is also going to have some crystalline defects. So we have to give it a good atomic arrangement as well as good shape. So here comes the production of ingot making. So we have to produce a silicon wafers. So what we do is we take this EGS and then convert it into ingot, and then we slice this ingot into different wafers and use them for the solar cells or producing some photovoltaic modules. So after getting the EGS, the next step is to get good atomic arrangement in silicon and give it a defined shape. So this is done by silicon ingot making and wafer dicing. So for this, there are two processes. One is Swarovski process and other one is the float zone process. So this is a chamber where we produce the ingot. Okay, the first method is the Swarovski process. So this is a crucible. Crucible is nothing but where we take the EGS. It's like a container. Okay, so we take the EGS inside this crucible. So the previous EGS is in the solid form, right? But here we have a heater. So because of the heat from that heater, this EGS is going to melt. So in the crucible we have the melted silicon, and here we have the seed crystal, and with the help of the shaft we can bring down this seed crystal, as well as we can rotate it clockwise and anti-clockwise. So what are we going to do is, we are going to move this shaft downwards. Okay, so the seed crystal attached to that shaft will also move downwards. So soon this seed crystal touches this crucible, or the EGS inside this crucible, they are going to stick to this seed crystal. Okay. So after this happens, what we do is, we are going to pull this shaft upwards. So now this seed crystal is moving upwards in a region of low temperature, because we are giving the heat in this inside this furnace. But when this shaft is moving upwards, the seed crystal is moving upwards, the EGS attached to this seed crystal is also moving upwards. So it is moving to a region of low temperature. So as this happens, this EGS melt is going to solidify. Okay. So this solidified EGS will take the shape of the seed crystal. So we are going to repeat this process again and again. Finally, we get the ingot. But there are some disadvantages for this method, because this is a slow process, as well as this crucible actually need to sustain that much high temperature, right? Otherwise, what happens, this crucible will melt and will be in contact with this EGS. So the impurity will be added more because of this. So there are some disadvantages for this Swarovski process. So there is another more method, which is the float zone process, where we will take the polycrystalline silicon here and the seed crystal down. So here we have a heating coil. So wherever this heating coil is present, the silicon inside this will be in a melted form. Okay. So next step, we are going to move this coil into another zone. Okay. So the previous leftover portion will get solidified, and now the newly formed zone will melt. Okay. So we are going to move this coil from this end to the other end, and when we do that, all the impurities also going to move along this melt. Okay, the impurity is going to move to the zone where it is melted. So finally, when we shift this coil at the end, the impurities is going to go along with that, and it can be collected at the end. Yes, and we are going to repeat this process again and again, and finally we get the ingot. But this process is actually expensive than this Swarovski process. Okay, that is one of the disadvantage of this process. So after we get the ingot from both these processes, what are we going to do is, we are going to take this ingot and slice them into wafers. So these wafers can be used for the production of various solar cells or photovoltaic modules. So that's all. Thank you.